Okay. Howdy, y'all.
Hello.
Hi. So we're going to start off with a video. Today we're talking about back safety. Oh, I hope the sound works.
Yeah, there's just blank space back here for the unnamed.
And it's not, so.
And there's not. I tried.
It's all right.
Our bodies are very much like the machines we depend on every day. When we use them for lifting objects, we should be aware that we are applying proper mechanics to avoid injury and support a longer, healthier life. Here are the top 10 rules for lifting. 1. Do not try to lift objects if you are unable to get a good grip, even if they are not heavy. This includes items that are too bulky, awkward, or too large to handle securely. 2. Don't move or lift objects by yourself if they are heavier than 40 pounds. Get help or use some type of mechanical aid. 3. To pick up an object that is lower than the level of your waist, keep your back as straight as possible and bend at your knees and hips. Do not bend forward at the waist with your knees straight. Use the shortstop position. 4. Never twist while under load. Turn your feet. Do not twist at the waist. Twisting takes your spine out of alignment and makes you vulnerable to injury. 5. Stand with a wide stance close to the object you are trying to pick up. Keep both your feet flat on the ground. Make sure you have firm, dry flooring. 6. Straighten your knees in a smooth, steady motion. Don't jerk the load up. 7. When reaching overhead, use a step stool or ladder to bring yourself up to the level of what you are reaching. 8. Get your body as close as possible to the load. Keep your elbows in tight to your sides. 9. Always use 2 hands to lift the load. 10. Make sure you can see the top of what you are trying to lift. Any unseen object can slide off and strike your head, face, or eyes. These are the top 10 lifting rules. Follow them to avoid injury.
Sounds like the soundtrack for Frogger.
All right. All right, so, oh man, sorry guys. All back injuries are avoidable. You can keep yourself and your friends at work safe by using these tips. So kind of recapping the video, always push, don't pull whenever possible. Use your leg muscles, not your arm or back. Try to avoid sudden quick movements. Work with your upper body as close to upright as possible. Keep objects you're lifting or carrying close to your body. Make sure they're between your hips and your shoulders. Make sure you have enough room around you to lift safely. Get help before you try and lift a heavy load. Use a dolly or a forklift if you can, and don't overdo it. If you have to strain to carry a load, it's probably too heavy for you. Back safety while you're driving. Make sure your seat's properly adjusted for you. You shouldn't have to strain to reach the pedals or the steering wheel, and you shouldn't be scrunched up in your seat either. Your feet can't rest on the ground to support you when you're driving. Your entire back should rest against the seat. Top of your head should rest against the seat as well. You should be able to reach and hold the steering wheel comfortably. We kind of already said that. You've heard sitting up straight can help you avoid back pain if you slouch or hunch over the wheel. The discs in your back can shift and move out of the spots they're supposed to be in. So if you properly adjust your seat and sit up straight, you can avoid compressing the discs in your back. October safety topics: slips, trips, and falls, fatigue awareness. So here in Wyoming, we're expecting a good winter storm. I will not be going to Gillette tomorrow, one for that reason. And I think James is going to try getting, help me get you guys that need H2S and Smith and things like that. We're going to start scheduling those. I think we're going to split it between you guys coming here and me going down there next month. So be aware of ice and slippery and slick areas, roads, walkways, parking lots. Take extra care. Make sure your footwear is ready to go. With it getting dark earlier now, fatigue tends to set in quicker, so be well rested and fit for duty, whether you're in the shop or on the road. Be alert.
What are some common slip, trip, and fall issues that we see here?
Ice, snow, 3-point grab, getting out of the truck, building up on your stairs.
We've had a lot of people fall out of the truck, so that 3 points of contact is good to have, especially it's gonna get a little bit more slippery on those steps.
Sounds good. We're getting a new mic. I know we hear a lot of, you guys can't really hear the other people talking in the room when they talk, but we're working on a new mic, just so you guys online know. We want to thank you guys for the generous food donations for David Wilkinson. They're trying to clean out the debris from the fire still. For anyone that wishes to donate money from your paychecks, there's forms in your boxes. So if you want to donate for that, thanks. So operations notes. The snake here was just taken. When was that taken, Joel?
She just walked out.
Just walked out. Okay.
It was just 2 days ago.
2 days ago. So it's colder, but snakes are still out, so make sure you're still paying attention for those. Driver etiquette. Make sure you're slowing down when passing on dirt roads. We've had a lot of calls about broken and chipped windows from our trucks. Remember, loaded trucks have the right of way. At the Casper Lact, if you open doors, electrical panels, or anything like that, make sure you're closing them afterwards. They were left open during one of the rainstorms last week, and
That includes Pinnacle.
Pinnacle. Yeah, in general. This was just straight from Sinclair. It had an electrical shortage at the Lact, so make sure you're cleaning up after yourselves when you're done. When fueling and signing in, make sure it shows your name. If it shows someone other than you, let us know. LaDonna has been fueling trucks, so more loads will be going into Douglas Rail, so be prepared. This was by Sinclair directive. And again, talking about snow, be ready for snow this week. We're supposed to get a pretty bad storm next week, or tomorrow, so be ready for that. What not to do? Make sure you're putting on your chains right, and if you don't know how, ask someone who does. If you have chains with claws, make sure they're going on with the claw side out.
Can you go back to that slide? Can somebody explain what happened?
Claws are in chains on upside
Look at that studded chains that they put on.
Had studded tires.
So I was sent that picture by a driver that doesn't normally slip seat. Somebody was in his truck. It's apparent that there were studded chains and the person that drove that truck put them on inside out. So then I sent this photo to David and said, can we start implementing a what not to do, helping our teammates not make the same mistakes? So doing this and sharing with everybody, hopefully they'll keep this in mind when they go to put their chains on, making sure that they're putting them on right side out.
Now those are ice tires.
What?
Now they're made of ice.
So if anybody has anything that they want to have had anything happen to them that they think that maybe this is something that one of my teammates could learn from so they don't make the same mistake, send it in each week so that we can have David put it in the what not to do.
If you guys couldn't hear that online, if you have basically learning from incidents kind of things, if you see something or something that any of your teammates can learn from, send it in so we can put it in the what not to do slide.
I'm in the yard on my day off working on my truck on Tuesdays. If anybody does not know how to put on chains, I would gladly show them. I'll pull my truck out and put chains on. Help.
Clearly there are some.
Well, I had to learn that one day.
Anything else?
Well, we do one inside out. It goes into the tire and adds to
When you guys are splitting a
Silver
tank,
lining.
when you guys are splitting a tank, and and you know that you're gonna have to share it with another guy. We just had another deal where a guy took 245 barrels.
Can you talk louder?
Yeah. When you're splitting a tank, don't take more than half. We just had a guy took 245, left another driver with 160 or whatever it was. Split it even. Just end of story.
Split loads
Split it
evenly.
even.
Steve, did you have something?
Yeah, with all the mud and debris that we're gonna be catching, with all the road debris sticking to our vehicles, take a lot of care when closing and opening your hoods. Don't let your bumper, if you got a cattle guard bumper, don't let it hit the ground because it just fatigues the stops below. And especially when setting the hood down with all that mud on there, if you can't set it down by yourself, get some help because we're losing a lot of hood pockets and the receivers and stuff that are on the cowling and the firewall. But I believe part of it, besides the shimmying down the road, is dropping them down and just go boom down and on the cabs. And so it's we've got a lot of failures for cab mounts, not cab mounts, but hood receivers and the
Well, and there's
horns.
some of us, when there's so much mud under the hood, like, it takes me 20 minutes to get my hood open when there's 200 pounds of mud on it.
It's a little heavy. It's one of those physical things that we're gonna have to deal with that, even I'll see mechanics trying to open it. I'll go up and give them a buddy grab across the waist and pull them down and they hang on and the hood comes open, especially when going down. Opening, that's a bad thing too. Remember 440 last year?
Oh, yeah.
You'd open that hood and it'd pin you against the ground.
Yep.
Because we're not controlling the hood for the limits to come and stop. We let the limits stop it and it just rips them free. So take care to keep your equipment up and running safely and out of the shop.
Well, I appreciate that tip, Steve. And I feel bad because obviously if you were driving 440, you had enough problems without dealing with a hood. So, all right.
Rodney Russell also wants to remind you not to use spike boot chains in lined containments.
Yes, meaning that any of the containments around the.
We might have to have whoever's talking
We can
come
just
up
reiterate,
because
any of these producers that have anything but an earth berm are all lined with liners. So if you have your studded boot covers on, you're tearing through their liners.
Also be careful with studded boot covers. Speaking of slips, trips, and falls, those can get caught on your running boards or anything on location, things like that. So we don't suggest those, but if you have them, be wary. What's up, Steve?
Another heads up that with the colder weather, the bulkheads that go to the trailer, the wing nuts, with the colder weather, those nuts like to come loose. So always make sure as you walk by, swat them with your, if you got a soft mallet or your crescent wrench, your hand or whatever, we have them loose here in the building. But we get a lot of phone calls that my pump and roper is running slow. It's because those detents inside those hose ends are not pressing against each other, allowing the oil to follow through. So keep that in mind if your pump's running slow, and plus your lines are getting hotter than hell because it's cavitating. And it really happens a lot in the colder weather.
Being the colder weather showing up, you need to start watching your trailer tires and brakes and stuff from freezing up. You need to make sure senior drivers bring it up to the new guys, not to be setting the trailer brakes at all in this cold weather. Tractors only, you'll freeze them up and they won't move.
When we do get that freezing rain and everything out there, when you do your walk around picking up the cones, roll your tag tires, make sure they're rolling, because as you drive down the road and drop them, we've seen lots of holes in them because they just come down and drag. Typically those don't freeze up because there's no parking brakes on them, but the debris, the rain and everything getting up in there while you're using them will freeze the brake down sometimes.
Sound good? Alrighty. Thanks for participating.